Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do continue, let's give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of things have happened. Now, we had Deku. Deku, he has been through a lot. Right now, him and the UA students still have time off of school. Almost a month. Now, that does mean quite a number of things. 6 UA students died. Deku, he tried to comfort some of his friends, and at least mourn the ones he lost. Deku's become a vigilante. He has a goal of killing All for One, finding the man one day and executing him for what he did. Deku, he's dealt with much loss in his life. His family, his friends, that's personal. And meanwhile, while Deku, he's trying to become a vigilante, there actually is the villains and the heroes. Heroes are getting reports of this vigilante, and they want to find him to bring him in for questioning. Meanwhile, the villains, they're fairly certain that this is Deku. I mean, strong and fast. There was an incident like this before. The doctor, and All for One, they've looked into it. There was a woman who was shot, and that woman had a grandson, and his name was Izuku Midoriya. Then a fast and powerful vigilante popped up. And then there's almost a year later. The USJ was attacked, and then a strong and powerful vigilante popped back up. You tell me. Now, number 6 was assigned with trying to hunt down Deku and bring him in. And Deku? Yeah. He definitely was not ready for the situation. While he's trying to deal with that, there's also the fact that the girls, some of them are looking at him a bit differently. Some knew him in UA as a strong himbo. Some knew him as a strong silent type. He's always ready for battle, and he's a bit more aggressive with the way he talks, the way he's encouraging people, the way he goes about things. But he's calm. He's collected. And it actually kind of scares a few people. For a number of reasons. If Deku's calm, that means he's either numb with rage or he's not angry. Because he knows what he's already going to do. So, you tell me which one sounds worse. Now, Deku, he's out on patrol. He still has 2 weeks before UA resumes their normal time frame. And right now, he's curious as to whether or not he can actually find All for One. There's not really a lot of leads. He's tried talking to low-level villains, but none of them are connected to the League. And that's annoying. Deku, he went out, fought, and went home. And then he just laid in bed. He went to sleep. His grandfather wanted to chat. And Deku, he very obviously was not in the mood for this. And whenever the old man tried to get Deku to actually sit down, Deku, he actually turned and looked at the old man. And the old man, he saw Deku's face. Deku, he stood up and walked away, as soon as the old man tried to talk about getting Deku put into therapy. And Deku, where he looked back at the old man, he stared at Deku's eyes. Deku, he has something inside of him. There's a beast lurking under the surface. And the old guy, he's a little scared about that. He wants the best for his grandson, but he's not too sure if that's possible anymore. His grandson might be down a set path. And knowing him, he's definitely doing something. But the old man, he's not going to try and stop him. The heroes weren't there. All Might, the number 1 hero, was not there. Parents are screaming at that man for the death of their children. He should have been there to protect them. He should have been there. But what was he doing instead? Tell them, please. Because it sounds like the number 1 hero, he thought he could take a break. He thought he could skip out on being a combat instructor and not go to a class when he was required to be there. Now, obviously All Might is getting backlash, and UA, they are also suffering from this. And Nezu, he's at least trying to explain a few things. While All Might, he is a teacher, yes, the USJ training, it was not supposed to be anywhere near what it was, nor what it turned into. All Might, if he had known, he would have been there. He would have been ready. All of the pros would have been. UA's curriculums, they are focused on many things. There are some things that they cannot account for. And sadly, the situation they've been put in is one of them. They're sadly going to be mourning the loss of those students. However, trying to blame a hero who didn't know because he wasn't there is like trying to blame a police officer for not arresting a criminal whenever he was not there. It's just simple. Yes, he went to lunch, but somebody else could have handled it. And the ones who were there, they were simply just outnumbered. The students tried their best. They tried valiantly. And, sadly, this unfortunate circumstance, it has happened. But they will try to capture the villains, make sure everyone involved is locked up for the rest of their days, and they won't see outside of a jail cell. Now, obviously Nezu, his little speech, it was inspirational to everybody but the families. They don't care about that. They just want their children back. Now, Deku, we do currently have him. Deku, he went back to the hospital, and he tried to talk to his friends, see how everything was. And everybody, they're still just going through their own routine. Meanwhile, they do try to keep an eye on Deku. They want to make sure they got everything right. They got the kid's name. So, whenever he was told to go to UA one day, they found him there. And they followed him back home. UA wanted to talk to him because they were trying to understand his miraculous quirk awakening. And Deku, he tried his best to explain it. But that's not his forte. Now, obviously a number of things have been happening from this point. The heroes, they are more on high alert. And Sir Nighteye and All Might, they have had to talk to each other. Nighteye has a candidate for One for All. And the moment All Might, he called his cell number, he picked up immediately. And he tried to get right down to business. The villains, they're going to be getting more bold. The fact that they took the lives of children will empower them. It will lessen people's faith in the heroes. And Nighteye, he wants All Might to pass on his quirk to his chosen successor, the one he thinks is best. Now, All Might, he tried to talk to Sir Nighteye. He has somebody in mind, but they don't want the power. And Nighteye is confused. However, All Might broke it down to him. And Nighteye was actually very impressed because regeneration, an enhancement ability, and an extra limb, that does sort of sound interesting, especially from what he heard. He receives boost in strength after he's injured, and injuring him, it's already hard enough. So Nighteye has a few plans. He wants a few things done. He wants Deku to train with the next successor to One for All, not All Might. Because if Deku gets on that level, or God forbid even takes on All Might's quirk, his quirk awakening, his quirk mutation, whatever is going on inside his body, it could destroy All for One. And Nighteye, he does see a few drawbacks to that. It's like lighting a candle, but instead of using a match, you use a flamethrower. What happens to the candle? Nothing good. Now, obviously that is a concern of Nightheye's. People have theorized about quirk singularity, and if Deku's quirk has already received some sort of awakening, then he's sort of off the table. Especially because packing too much energy into that battery could blow it up. Now, this is obviously a concern for All Might. And Nighteye, he actually brought this to his attention. And All Might, he does have to somewhat shelve the idea of Deku forever, becoming his successor. Meanwhile, the man, he does at least ask All Might to bring the boy in. And Deku, he actually does receive a phone call while he's at the hospital. Him talking to a few of the girls at lunch. As whenever his phone to get a ring, he went to go answer it. Hello? Hello, young Midoriya. Is this you? All Might? Deku pulling his hand away from his phone. Or pulling the phone away from his head. And everyone they do so stare at Deku. Huh? Hi, All Might. How did you get this number? We looked into UA records and we called your guardian. I see. So, can I ask what exactly you're calling me for? We'd like you to come to UA. For what reason? We wish to talk to you. Many people wish to, actually. And we're hoping that you can help us. With what? With a situation. Um, how's the best way to put this over the phone? I need a successor. There's already somebody in mind, and it's not you. My old friend, Sir Nighteye. Him and I have recently become reacquainted. And right now, we need some help. You want my judgment call on this? I want some staring at Deku. Judgment call? Sort of. We heard that you're very strategic. So if you'd come in, please. It would also help to inform you that some of the members of the top 10 are here, including Mirko. Now, Deku does hear the word Mirko and top 10 at UA. And Deku currently does get a jump up. Him doing so very fast and surprising everybody. As Deku does get to hang up the phone, and All Might's confused. Hello? Now, cut to about 2 seconds later, where the wall to the building does go to blow open. And Deku, he currently does stand there. As Deku, he does somewhat go to look around. And All Might and everyone, they're confused. And All Might, he's just somewhat does go stare down at his phone. Huh. That was a few seconds. Where are they? Is this the one you were talking about? Yes, unfortunately it is. Mr. Nezu going to somewhat sip his tea, talking about how Cementos is going to have to rebuild that wall. Along with the security gate, Deku, he may have crushed? I jumped very good. I see. Well then, the wall will be fixed by Cementos, and I do believe that UA's defenses may need to be increased. Especially if you got here this fast. I just got here in a few seconds. Like, not even 2. Actually, you got here in about 4.3. Is that good? Which hospital are you at? The one not too far away from here. Ah, the closest one is about... Impressive. Is it? Yes, very much. Now, if you would please have a seat. Deku was turning and looking around. Many of the pros are staring at him. And then he does make direct eye contact with Mirko. And Mirko, she's somewhat grinning like a madman. The kid, he got here fast. And he has one hell of an entrance. So, that's definitely interesting. Now, Deku, he does somewhat going to walk over and sit down. Him still at least eyeballing the members of the top 10. As, right now, Deku, he's asked many questions. And Deku, he does try to answer what he can. And it's actually very intriguing. Nighteye wasn't really expecting much. The entrance, the grandiose thing, it reminds him a lot of Mirio. But then there's the shift. Deku, he goes to planning. He talks about things in a certain way. And then Deku does bring up a few points Nezu himself thought of. And that somewhat says a lot. They might all be in danger. He might be being targeted. The students might all be being targeted. Him taking down that thing by ripping out its brain, it definitely puts a bit of a target on his back. Especially whenever all for one, Deku's saying the man's name out loud, he knows exactly who all of them are. Now, everyone they do something to freeze. Because Deku, how does he know that name? And Deku, he does get somewhat turn to look at All Might. As All Might, he does something to bring his hand up and cough. As there is Renezu, he does get somewhat move on. The other pro is a bit more confused. Huh. So All Might trains the kid with an enhancement ability. Oh, he has an enhancement ability, right. Good mentor dynamic. Now, That's how they put that. Anyways, there currently is Endeavor. Endeavor, he does actually at least try to point out a few things. And while Deku, he does try and talk to Endeavor, the man, he's a bit of a hard ass. Whenever Deku does show a lot more of his side, Endeavor, he's both a little annoyed, but at least happy the kid isn't trying to settle for taking the background on this. He's trying to be assertive and be a pro. He can respect that. Now, Deku, he does at least somewhat get things settled. And UA, they start to implement things a little bit earlier. The dorm system is enabled and put into place. And right now, while UA is paying for the burials of those UA students, some funerals are going to be held. And Deku, he does have a lot on his mind. There actually is where Deku, he does stand in front of a casket. And he does remember. The laughs, the memories, everything. And it just sort of makes him sad. He's saying goodbye. Too soon. Now, Deku, it actually is a bit of a hard day. And many people, after the funerals were held, they did disperse. Deku, this was a lot for 1 week. He feels wiped, and not physically, but mentally exhausted. And there actually is where Deku, he does want to still stand there, looking at the name on the tombstone. One of his best friends. Only real friends. They're in the grave. And he has to find a way to make this right. Someone currently going to walk up to him and bring a hand out onto his shoulder, ask him if he's okay. And when does one turn and look directly at Kendo? I'm fine. You sure? Yeah. You know, it's okay to be angry. I know. Have you been okay? Because you've just been very that lately. I know who did all this. I know who the master is, who perpetrated all this evil bullshit. And you're just holding on to that information and the pros don't know? They do know. You're serious? Yeah. They wanted my help. And I gave it to them. Got to meet one of my favorite heroes. You know, it was stupid at the time. But Mineta, him and Denki, along with Sero, all of them, they like to make jokes. They were a little bit of perverts, but hey, I can admire a cute girl whenever I see one. They talked about... I don't even know if I should tell you this. Now, Kendo does get to see Deku laugh. Deku, he's clearly trying to deal with this in his own way. He doesn't want to cry, but his body is still reacting. It's still trying to let out and vent the stress, the anger. And Kendo does see that Deku, he seems to be a little losing it. And the best way of saying it, the screws are coming loose. And right now she wants to try and put those screws back in tightly. As she actually does somewhat hug Deku from behind. And Deku, he's actually somewhat surprised. Before, Kendo just tried to tell him. Talk. I don't want to. Talk. You might be all big and tough, but you're a softie. No, I'm not. I can bounce bullets off of my fingertips and bench press cars. Call me a softie, and you're wrong. Am I? I feel like you are. Izuku, you can talk to people. Sure I can. Degu'ing around and asking Kendo, what if he told her he had a way to make someone exponentially stronger? What if he told her he had a way to increase somebody's powers to be drastically stronger than his own. And Kendo just stared at Deku surprised. That doesn't sound possible. And Deku just tried to tell her. Him telling her that it is possible. Before Deku just going to bring his hands up. And he does want to catch Kendo by surprise. Whenever he does get to kiss her. Now, whenever Deku is going to do that, he is going to turn and walk away. Right now, he does still have a lot on his mind. And Kendo, she's left there somewhat thinking. She knows that they already talked about him, but she honestly can't say that she doesn't like him either. And that's not concerning to her. She doesn't want to make this a competition. They're all mourning. They're all lost. And they're all afraid. Deku especially. The guy's losing it, isn't he? And it's honestly kind of worrying to her. That being on her mind. Her running her fingers over her lips. Now, right now Deku, he heads back to the UA dorms. Where, whenever he does get there, he does meet somebody he didn't expect. Mirko. All Might, he remembers what Deku asked. He wants to meet Mirko and he wants to fight her. See where he does stand on a pro hero's level. And Mirko, hearing about Deku's quirk, he is either the perfect punching bag or the perfect training partner, and there is no in between. And she is not going to pass that shit up. Now, Mirko, whenever she was going to meet Deku at the UA dorms, Deku, he's not really taken aback. The two met briefly and they had a bit of a fast sparring session. It did not last long. Whenever Mirko does bring up the fact that she just wants to fight him, full on, all out, Deku, he's a bit more cautious about this. He does want to fight her. But since his last Zenkai Boost, he's been living in a glass world. And right now, he does want to at least see where she does stand. Now, Deku and Mirko, they do go to a place where it's very open. And the two, they do begin their own sparring match. Deku, he lashes out and attacks Mirko. And Mirko, whenever she does try to at least hit and attack Deku, she finds that he's very difficult to try and take down. And Deku, whenever Mirko does actually somewhat go to rush in, she does try to kick at him. Her seeing Deku flying backwards and skidding back into the ground. Him still on his feet, as he does at least go to bring his hands up, clapping through the air, and right now Mirko just going to feel a shockwave. Her almost being blasted backwards as if it was a smash. And that actually does surprise her. Her getting a bit more ready on her feet. Hopping on the, well, front of them, as she's going to get ready. Before rushing back in and going for another fight. Now, Deku and Mirko, they do fight. Mirko shows user superior experience in combat. And while Deku, he may be stronger, if not around her strength, I want to say he's actually above that. Because Zenkai Boost are bullshit. And I could just give Deku the basically Namek multiplier, which it does put Deku way above All Might in actuality, if I'm going to be honest. Like, outside the story. I did the math. Deku, he would be able to bench over 250 tons. So basically like 2 Spider-Men put together. Now, with that being said, Deku, he's not at that level because I feel like that would just make the story a lot less interesting. But right now, Deku, him and Mirko, they do go to fight. And over Deku, he actually does have Mirko leap behind him and actually go to bring her hand up. She's going to smash Noki across the back. Her at least going to rush forwards and throw at her leg. Deku going to turn, grabbing her by her ankle and going to pick her up as he's going to bring his left hand up to the top part of her thigh. Him going to swing her over his head and smash her down to the ground. Now, Mirko, she actually is going to spin over. Her going to leap back up into the air and kick Deku across the face. As Deku does going to somewhat take the blow and look back at her, going to throw out his own punch and send her flying. Now, Mirko is obviously impressed. And, well, sadly, the battle was cut short. Because Deku, he received a phone call. And the phone call was from his grandfather. But somebody, they were on the other end of the line. And they weren't his grandfather. They wanted Izuku to come home. Because they want to have a chat about his grandfather's life. And how much exactly he does value it. Now, with that being said, Deku, he's told quite simply, don't use his quirk, walk through that door peacefully, And be aware, he can kill the old man at any time. One wrong move, and his neck, it goes open, and blood will gush out as if it were a sprinkler. Now, with that being said, Deku, he does get to leave. And Mirko, she's a bit more mad that their sparring match was put on hold. However, she's got to admit that the kid is definitely powerful, but he was holding back. Now, with that being said, Deku, he does get to leave. And right now he doesn't feel the anger inside of him boil. He feels it beginning to increase. And it makes him angry. Very, very angry. Now, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.